Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of VCTV. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. Today, we're going to be talking about sustainability, social impact, and everything EV, electric vehicles. Get ready. We've got a great episode and one of the best and the brightest here in the game joining us today as well. But before we introduce them, a big shout out to the LaToken team and to Maria for always being patient and making VCTV possible with us every single day. A big shout out to her and the team as well. With that, Tolga, welcome back to the show. A little intro, a little background for everybody on yourself.
Thank you, Kyle. This is my first panel with you that I'm the only speaker. So much
fun.
freedom. Thank you. Anyway, thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And to give you a little background, I started as a designer, developer. I worked for companies like Spin Master, Electronic Arts, and then I started my own company called Thunderbolt in 2013. I worked with over 40 different startups. I have incubated 12 different companies, and they raised, 4 of them raised total $8.5 million. I created Curbstand. It's a valet payment solution. I created Grasp. It's the first application that allows cannabis to be delivered via mobile applications legally in California. And I eventually sold my company Thunderbolt to an investment company based in Canada. And I was the CEO of that investment company called New Wave Holdings. And we took that company public in 2019, and it became a publicly traded company in Canada. And then I took some time off, didn't work during the pandemic, and then I realized that there's a huge movement and shift to electric vehicles and EV charging, and I think that this is going to be the great next thing. And I joined the company Loop. I am right now the vice president of Loop EV Charging Network. We recently got featured on Fast Company as one of the top 10 joint ventures of 2021, alongside with companies like General Motors, Microsoft, and NASCAR. This is a great achievement. We are one of the leading EV charging companies in California, expanding to the rest of the United States. And this is really exciting for us. You can check our website, evloop.io.
This is exciting, and Tolga, we've had many episodes together where we've talked about the potential of EV, but I want to go a level deeper. I mean, what is really the impact that electric vehicles and the charging grid that you guys are putting together and everything you're doing? I mean, what is the impact of this, and what does the future look like in the next 12, 18, 24 months around the EV market?
Great start. A great question. I think, the social impact is, you may not be able to tell right away, but in the next 2 to 3 years, I think there's going to be a massive change. Just reading the news about Volkswagen catching up with Tesla. I mean, the biggest car manufacturers right now are in the race to manufacture the better EV electric vehicles. And this race is gonna it's going to exponentially increase the competition and also change in our lives. Because right now, you go outside, 99% of the cars, 98% of the cars that you see, they're all gasoline, traditional, what we have been driving in the past 100 years. This is changing. This is a massive shift. And this is, as I mentioned in a couple other episodes, I mentioned that this is the greatest shift that is happening in the transportation industry in the past 150 years. Pretty much one of the biggest revolutions actually that is happening since the start of the Industrial Revolution. Industrial Revolution started with the combustion engines, and we are changing that. We are changing the way that we're moving things around. So this is a huge shift, and the social impact is going to be, it's going to be a slowly developing thing. It's not going to happen obviously overnight or in a few months. This is going to take 5, 7, 10 years to slowly develop, and the social impact is going to be really felt after we start breathing cleaner air. Because some people are discussing like, oh, the batteries are causing harm. They are not fully carbon the carbon emissions are not really going too low because it's not too different. I believe that those are just speculations that are created by the oil industry. Just imagine, our streets in the cities, they're going to be cleaner. We are not going to be like when we're passing across the street, we don't have to breathe the exhaust, the CO2 of cars. This is, I mean, what else can be more impactful than this? Like, this is a great impact to begin with. But other than this, this EV revolution is also paving the way for greater opportunities in the automotive industry, and these are AI. AI is already a huge thing, and now this is becoming literally a part of our daily lives. I own a Tesla. I own a Tesla Model Y, and like, as soon as I got my car, I get onto the freeway, and this car drives itself. Like, I'm when I'm on autopilot, I'm on my phone. I barely check the road, and this is like, imagine what kind of like revolution is this? Because this is also a huge another impact in our lives. You're spending all that energy and attention to get into an accident when you're driving. That energy is saved. The device, the car, is taking care of that for you because it's paying attention to the road, so you can actually pay attention to do other things in your car. And like, I'm not saying that I'm all constantly like on my phone, not looking the road. Of course, you check the road, but I mean, like, this is gonna be even more developed in 2-3 years. Like, when I take the 405 in Los Angeles, from my work to my home, it's a straight freeway, road, and I literally like don't. I'm not on my. I'm not really on my phone. I'm not even sure if this is safe to say, actually, because
I'll say it for you.
I can get a citation or something.
I'll say it for you. Being on the highway in the Los Angeles metro area, it's a very stop and go parking lot with the power of autonomous vehicles and self-driving that helps take away from the stop go, and you can focus on other things your brain may be better for. I'll say it for you. There you go. So that way you don't get the citation, and well, I'll put the words there. You go. Yeah. But how far are we off from that? I mean, AV, so autonomous vehicles, shifting into that from EV. How far do you feel we're off from seeing a much bigger impact of AV? I mean, right now we've got it in Teslas, as you mentioned. We've got a few other vehicles out there. Volkswagen, Fiat, many others are starting to catch up, and General Motors is looking at getting a bigger picture footprint in that as well, just to name a few. But for what you and Loop is doing, I mean, what do you see as that EV market really, really moving into over the next 12 to 18 months? Is it in 18 months we're going to be, 5% autonomous, 10% autonomous? How do you feel about that?
I mean, Tesla is definitely the flag holder. They're developing the most sophisticated AVs, and I mean, like I said, just to clarify to people, AV is the autonomous vehicle, the vehicle that can run itself, basically, and EV is the electric vehicle. Tesla is both, and this is also one of the reasons why Tesla's valuation is off the chart. I mean, this is making Tesla not only a car manufacturer, but the smartest devices. Basically, it's like a robot. I mean, your Tesla car doesn't have arms or legs, but it's a robot. It takes you to where you want to go if you want to go. So that's a huge development. I mean, like, this is the beginning. Like in the 2 to 5 years, things are going to be radically different in terms of like how these autonomous vehicles are changing our lives. Less amount of people, and by the way, I definitely have to say this, people may be like, when they're watching this, they might be like skeptical. Oh, you're going to get into an accident. They actually made a bunch of surveys about this. The AVs, autonomous vehicles, gets into less accidents than people, and it's because people tend to do mistakes, or may not be able to catch certain things, or get distracted for a second and get into an accident. But the AVs don't do that. They constantly watch the road, and they definitely, even when you do a mistake, they kind of fix your mistake, and which happened to me like multiple times actually when I was driving my car. um, I didn't realize the car in front of me, like, or something, like, just cutting the lane in front of me, and the car pushes the brakes for me. I mean, this is just smart. It's just like, there's no other explanation. It's just smart, and that's adding intelligence into our lives, and that's the social impact. Adding intelligence into our decision making, and controlling our devices by itself. These are enormous impacts in terms of social impact of these electric vehicles. And there's also, like, as we are talking about social impact, there is also the other side of the story, sustainability. I mean, these vehicles are sustainable. These vehicles are using electricity that is pretty much, you plug it in to your traditional electric plug, and you can charge it with a level 1 charger, your car. It takes like 24 hours, and I don't recommend charging your car with a level 1 charger. But if you use a level 2 or level 3 fast chargers, you can reach really faster charging times. And that's where I can introduce Loop. Loop is an EV charging network. We are the fastest developing EV charging network in North America. And the reason why we are the fastest developing and the fastest growing network is because of our business model, and our devices are extremely sophisticated. Our devices are sleeker and more advanced than our competition. Our software is more advanced than our competition, and we are more cost effective. We are in some cases we are 2 times more cost effective than our best competition. So this is allowing Loop to exponentially grow and really expand our network very rapidly. Also, we have really key sales strategies that is also allowing us to grow really fast. Aside from that, there are, we're talking about sustainability and social impact. I think the most important thing that I can share is for entrepreneurs, there's a great opportunity with the rebate programs. States are the states have multiple bunch of rebate programs that are related to EV charging, because they're all willing to, all the states and cities and municipalities, they're all working on this, working on upgrading our city grid and infrastructure to be compatible with such load, because cars, these batteries suck crazy amount of energy, and they consume a great amount of energy. So our grid has to be, infrastructure has to be compatible with electric vehicles. So our main strategy is we work with. You can find our chargers in freeways too. We're installing on freeways, but mostly, like, we work with apartment buildings and office buildings. We believe that when people are, the most amount of charging that is going to happen is when people are at work or when they're at home. And a lot of people the single homeowners can purchase our level 2 chargers, and they're incredibly cost effective. We install them right away. It's a really easy project for us. But other than this, we also install tens of them, like 10, 20, 30, 40 chargers in some cases to apartment buildings. And this is a great way of us expanding our growing network. And office buildings, and we are expanding this to work with restaurants, and soon you're going to be seeing our chargers in, parking lots and many places that you thought the EV charging wouldn't be available. We're making a lot of agreements with site owners who want their properties to be more valuable. This is another impact, because I want to tell you that as soon as we install these chargers to a restaurant or an apartment building or an office building, the value of that property increases, because at that point you're not only just a parking lot anymore. You are your parking lot is technically like a traditional gas station. So it increases the value of the property immensely. So there's a huge value in this transition into electric vehicles and EV charging.
Well, and it sounds like it's a whole nother a new income or revenue source, right? Depending on which side of the table you're sitting on. But also, what it sounds like as well is that this is an infrastructure upgrade that's not only necessary, but it's going to take time as well. When you look at that infrastructure, both from from Loop side to other players, what's missing? So that investors out there or entrepreneurs think, where should I be building? Where should I be preparing, right? From the infrastructure standpoint. We know in the vehicles, there's those players, but from the infrastructure, what's missing? What's out there that you wish you had as an investor or as, Loop to be working with to help this move faster?
Keith Gillard, he's also a panelist at the Token VCTV, and we were in the same panels multiple times. And he mentioned many times that one of the greatest opportunities in this emerging market is the energy storage. Energy storage is a huge thing. So think that the reason why we have had gas stations, still have gas stations in the streets, on corners of key locations, is because the energy is that the traditional combustion engines consume is gasoline, and gasoline is something liquid. You need to store it in a physical location. That's not the case with electricity. So you don't need to store it in a central location. You don't need to store electricity in the middle of an intersection or something. It can be stored underground. It can be stored in a back street, in an alley. I know it doesn't have to be like physically right next to where the car is getting charged or getting the fuel. So this also changes the way that we can structure how we are storing the energy to distribute it at a later time. So imagine, in the future there are going to be, restaurants and or hotels or parking lots that they have their own energy storage for charging cars. They're going to be selling energy. They're going to be distributing energy, just because energy distribution is going to be a part of a business of every site owner in the future. So can you imagine, how, because right now, I live in my apartment building, and there's no gas station.
Right.
Our apartment building doesn't sell gasoline, but in the future it is going to be like they're going to be selling electricity. So they're going to be selling their property in a higher value, just because they have the right to distribute energy to people. So this is increasing the property values. This is increasing. This is changing the way that people are consuming and distributing energy. So these are massive changes in our lives, and there's a huge impact into this. And during this change and shift, I can't even imagine like what kind of other opportunities that are going to emerge. I mean, human intelligence is creative. God knows, like maybe so many different ideas and so many different ways of charging cars, so many different ways of storing energy is going to emerge in the next few years. I believe in the entrepreneurship of how the sustainable energy can be, I guess, stored.
Yeah. This is a fun time. To your point, this is a fun time to be involved in the EV or AV. So again, electric or autonomous vehicle space, by all means. And Tolga, I want to thank you very much for sharing all of this with everybody. And those that are listening should definitely feel encouraged to reach out to you and the company to learn more about both of these spaces and to talk more. But closing thoughts on where the market goes from here. I mean, what does the next 6 to 12 months look like? Or is going to be focused on in your mind? And then also, where can they find you and Looped to continue the conversation?
Sure. I think in the next 6 to 12 months, we will see more companies coming up, and there are already like some interesting coming companies, both on the EV space and EV charging space. I mean, I'm not sure if you're aware, but China has more than 100 EV startup companies. I mean, we know NIO. A lot of people heard about NIO, and there's one called Quantu as well. There are a couple like well-known Chinese EV manufacturers, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. In China alone, there are more than 120 EV companies. They're building EVs. And there's one actually recently, they started selling so many electric vehicle, $5,000, $6,000 electric vehicle cars, really tiny for two people, but they're selling more than Tesla in China. And there's EVs. In Norway, more than 50% of the new cars getting sold are EVs. So we are definitely in the verge of a massive revolution, and that is just happening right now in all over the world. Originally, as you know, Turkish. There's so much, just because of the Turkey's geopolitical location, very central located. There's so much investments that are also like just going to Turkey right now, and just because it's very central located, they're building electric vehicle factories, EV charging factories in Turkey, because both in Eastern Europe and in the Middle East, there's going to be so much revolution also happening in this space too. Many countries, like I said, I mean, I was just reading, for example, Romania. Romania is creating a new electric vehicle under the brand of Dacia, with a partnership with Renault, French Renault.
Yep.
Renault is creating their EVs. I mean, Sweden, Volvo is creating. Polestar is basically Volvo. There's Lucid coming. I mean, Lucid is. I mean, we say Tesla is a upscale car, but Lucid is actually creating a higher end, higher upscale EV version of Tesla, which is even more sophisticated than Tesla. Actually, that's the only car out there, Lucid, that is more sophisticated than Tesla. If people don't know, they should definitely check out Lucid. It's a very interesting startup. And I mean, these are, I think, how the industry is going to grow in the next 6 to 12 months. We are going to see more of these brands and coming both on the EV space and EV charging space. As Loop, we are exponentially growing. We have installed more than 3,000 chargers in the past year. This is going to be 7,000 by this summer, and we are going to be reaching to 10, 12, maybe 15,000 by the end of this year. And our goal is to expand to 50,000 chargers by the end of 2022. This is exponentially growing. When I say 50,000 chargers, can you imagine like the size of the electricity distribution? It's
It's gonna
insane.
be wild. Yeah.
You met our CFO actually,
Yeah.
Zach. I
Yep.
mean, we discuss almost every day. He actually has this calculation. Once we reach 400,000 chargers, we are basically a billion-dollar revenue-making company. So that's our goal, hopefully. I mean, and just to let you know, United States alone is gonna United States alone is gonna need 500 million chargers.
Wow.
That's what they're saying. Um, so I'm sorry, not 500 million. There's gonna be 5 million chargers. There's going to be more than 5 million chargers in United States alone. So yeah, I mean it's a massive market, and all we are doing is trying to get the bigger market share. These are pretty much what's happening, and
That's
there's
great.
also just before we close, I want to also to tell you about, just because La Token is a cryptocurrency asset platform. Um, Tesla just recently started accepting payments with Bitcoin. It was on their website. You can buy a Model X with 1.5 Bitcoin right now. So
Yep.
this is also going to happen in the other automotive brands, because they need to catch up right now. It's just right now they're all trying to catch up Tesla. They are trying to do what Tesla is doing. So if they don't have a Bitcoin payment, they're going to be like, oh, we're behind. So so this is where it's going. We are going to be seeing more cryptocurrency, Bitcoin payments. We're going to see maybe in the future we have plans like that to integrate crypto payments in crypto wallet into our application too. So it's a massively developing industry, and we're extremely excited about it. We have plans to raise even more money, and hopefully to go public in 2022.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm closing it. You can reach me via LinkedIn at any time. Please reach me. I would love to hear from people about their projects, or if they have any questions about electric vehicles or EV charging. I can definitely tell you that I'm definitely knowledgeable about the industry, so I can provide my insights. It's Tolga Onuk, and my website is tolgaonuk.com. Please check it out. I also post our La Token events, my schedule, onto my website, so you can follow over there. And our Loop website, we recently published. It's evloop.io, www.evloop.io. Please check our website. We have a really cool website. I think one of the industry leading websites. Check our products. Our level 2, level 3 chargers are industry leading. So that's it, Kyle.
Wonderful. Tolga, thank you so much. And audience, thank you so much as well for tuning in. Make sure you do reach out to Tolga and connect with him and his entire team at EV Loop as well if you're interested in anything EV, AV, again, electric or autonomous vehicles, or just the mobility sector in general as well. And thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard, make sure you click subscribe, share the episode, and again, reach out to Tolga and team. Also check out the archive on latoken.com to hear more from Tolga and his CFO, as we just mentioned, along with many other family members of the VCTV community of investors from around the world. And a big thank you to the Token team, along with Maria, for making today's episode possible. I'm your host, Kyle Ellicott. You can find me everywhere online at Kyle Ellicott as well. And do make sure that you reach out to both of us, add context, where you heard us, where you met us, and what you would like to continue the conversation about. With that, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be back here tomorrow with more VCTV for you as well. Tolga, have a wonderful day. You as well, audience. We'll talk with you soon. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.